Hey, hello everybody. Pat Ziemer here with MagnaWave, coming to you for our Tuesday edition of MagnaWave Office Hours, where we join together and answer your questions, whether they're about PMF devices, training, regulations, whatever it may be. We want to answer your questions so you fully understand the PMF product, the modality, and what's going on. So if you'd like to ask a question, simply put it in the chat box on YouTube. Any of the places we're on, the MagnaWave webpage, Facebook, just type it into the chat box and I'll receive it here and I'll be able to answer your questions. If you'd like to talk with me, simply send a text with your question to 502, let me pull that up here, 502-414-3436, 502-414-3436, and I will be able to give you a call back and we can have a discussion about whatever it is that you'd like to talk about. That's always a lot of fun, and we get deeper into the various conversations that we're having. Terry's with us today. Hazel Reed's with us on Castbox. Hello, Hazel. Idle Hour MagnaWave's with us. Good morning. Hannah's with us this morning. Katie Swisher's here, so we're glad that you're with us, and we certainly appreciate your being here, and we look forward to having a good conversation and moving forward. I do always have some questions that are asked throughout the week, and I would like to pull those up. We'll go into some of those questions. Dee Dee writes, has a client with lichen planus. Anyone have experience or recommendations? Thanks. Well, lichen planus is a common disease that causes inflammation, swelling, and irritation on your skin or your mouth or inside your mouth. On your skin, the lichen planus causes a rash that is usually itchy. Inside your mouth, it may cause burning or soreness. The key word there is inflammation. Certainly, you want to get good circulation through the area and improved oxygenation through the area, which will help relieve the inflammation. Now, what's causing it may need to be approached medically with some type of, whether it's a topical or a pill, whatever it may be, that your doctor would have you use. But the inflammation side of the coin can be dealt with in a pretty good manner with the MagnaWave PEMF types of devices. And what you want to do is simply hold the device up to wherever you're having the rash, put it on a comfortable setting, just like we approach most situations, and treat for 10 or 15 minutes to help the body be in a position to help itself and help reduce the inflammation in the area and help it feel better. We've had success with that with shingles, rashes on animals, and that whole type of thing that folks do deal with. So always follow the advice of your doctor and what they're doing, and make sure you consult with your doctor or veterinarian so they can have a hand in what may very well support what you're trying to accomplish by utilizing the PEMF. Christine's with us, Kim's with us this morning, Doug's with us, Rewarding Waves is with us, Stephanie, Leilani's with us again this morning, Kim, Richard, and Wendy's with us this morning. So folks, thank you for being here again. If you have a question, just put it into the chat box and we'll be able to answer it. When will the Soul Pro machines be shipped out? I've been waiting for almost 7 weeks. We've had a supply issue problem, Hannah, just like a lot of companies are having issues. And to solve that problem, we have capacitors that which is the key component that was missing for our manufacturers. And the capacitors began arriving Friday, I believe it was. So we're now in the process. Another 100 or so capacitors hopefully will be here tomorrow or Thursday. And then another 100 following right after that. So the supply chain issue has been the biggest problem, the biggest thing we've been dealing with, and we understand a lot of people are having those kind of issues as well. We hate that, but there's not a lot we can do with it. For the longest period of time, we were able to kind of skirt that issue, but it's caught us just like it's caught everybody. You know, all these ships are stuck at sea with bringing parts in. Manufacturers who build components in the United States still may use some form of their component from overseas, so it comes in and they got to get it. And so even though they manufacture here, they may need a component from elsewhere. Plus, stateside manufacturers who have built these things for us in the past and it's a decision companies make. Ford decided to go more trucks than anything else. Other people are doing other things when they try to deal with the chip problems that the automakers are having. Some manufacturers are saying, I service all these customers, but these 15 customers are my core customers. So the rest of these folks, we're not going to worry about right now. We're going to take care of our primary customers. Well, in the PEMF world, as companies grow and things go on, that's a good thing, and companies do grow. But in the big picture, when you put us on the rung, or all the PMF machines together on the rung compared to some other industries, we're not a big player, or we're not an important player. So some of these companies, in fact, do that. They say this is what we're going to work with and how we're going to proceed. So hope that answers your question. Hopefully we'll be caught up in the next week or so, couple of weeks, that we'll be able to be getting into that type of situation. Call your product specialist, and they're certainly on top of that more than I am. So I just got a message from Tony about something that StreamYard won't let him do. But at any rate, call your product specialist, call customer service, and they can keep you up to date on where that situation is. Great question. Sorry for the issue, but we're moving forward as best we can and see that everyone gets what they're looking for. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Just wanted to find out, Bonnie asks, my personal 3-year-old quarter horse looks like he has chronic founder. After getting rid of my previous shoer, the new shoer was concerned about what he saw and wanted to work with our vet. I jumped on board, and that's when we made the discovery of some issues going on, and she wanted to know, how often should I treat, and what should you do? Well, I would certainly treat as often as possible when you have those types of founder types of situations. And quite often people struggle with what they should do and how long they should do it. But just, I would treat an animal like that once or twice a day if possible, particularly since it's something that's acute and it's happening now, to get the sole to grow, to get the hoof to grow properly. We do know that, and we've experienced over the years, that PEMF can help the hoof growth by 1/3 to 1/2 in terms of growing new hoof and so forth. So you just want to stay on it and pursue those types of situations in order to help yourself out. Terry asked the question, any suggestions on treating somewhere with primary lateral sclerosis? Terry, let me take a look at that here in a few minutes, and I will do that. We got a video we're going to play. I'll take a look at that. Maybe I can get you some answer on that type of situation. A couple of house cleaning things here. As you know, we are having the founder sale, which is going on, and ends up this week. On the 31st, and it's if you order a sole or a semi 10, you receive a free set of wave wings, large wave wings, and free shipping. That's $1,000, $1,200 value savings for you. So it's a good opportunity if you're going to add a second machine, or you want to come on board and do some work. Those machines work very well, and that's the deal that we're offering until the 31st. So free wave wings and shipping on the sole or the semi 10 on the founders sale. So there you have it. We're looking forward to that. As you know, we talked a little bit last week. MagnaWave was selected as one of the 50 fastest growing privately held companies in Louisville. A group of our folks went to the celebration last Thursday. Went very well. I don't know if Tony has there we go. We got a graphic on the Fast 50. That was exciting and very interesting and good company to be in here in Louisville. So we're always, it's fun the way things have improved and increased business-wise through this whole pandemic. But now things are kind of catching up with us as I was talking a few moments ago, on the shortage on the supply chain. But we're working on that all the time as well. So Fast 50, that was fun. Lane and the crew, all of them are doing a great job to keep things going the way they should be, and give the support that we're looking to provide to you, our customers, who we care about greatly. We do have a video that we're going to play. Also, we use in our end of the business, we use what we call CRM software. It's customer relations management software. It helps us control the emails, the messages we get to customers, how we follow up on questions from customers if they're interested in various situations. Well, one of the associates, the software that we use is called Keap, and we've used it for a number of years, and they were really instrumental when we hooked up with them on giving us some direction on how to market and to grow our business. And that's a lot of the stuff that Elaine shares in the business builder classes, is information that we've gleaned and learned, and how to use the software available to help you in your day-to-day affairs, excuse me, and what you're working on. So there's an associate who works for Keap, and also turns out to be a MagnaWave user. And she saw the article in the magazine, and recorded a video and a testimonial, and sent it to us, and sent it to a lot of her followers. And so that was interesting. Tony's going to play it here in a second, and so we can have a look at what she has to say. I don't know if he's ready to do that. He told me to give him 10 or 12 minutes, and he's had about that length of time to get that ready. So, Tony, are we ready to do that at this point?
Not exactly, Pat. It is not letting me add the video in while we are live. I've got it queued up.
No.
We may be able to do like a screen share sort of deal, but I'm not sure if the viewers will get the audio from my computer. So I'm working on it.
Okay.
And it's not worth stopping and restarting. So we may have to hold on to it next week. But in the meantime, I'll see what I can do.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Tony. I appreciate it. Anyway, it was a great video, and the young lady received her magazine, the Keap magazine, and she started reading it. And all of a sudden, she came to this article, and there's a MagnaWave article, and she said, and her husband says, "Do we want to keep the magazine this month?" She said, "Absolutely." And she turns out she owns horses, lives on a horse farm, utilizes MagnaWave in her horse activities, and works for Keap, and so it was just a fun situation that came together. I want to do the lateral sclerosis. I was going to look that up while we played the video. Have a question. Will the Semi-10 work well with the Wave Oasis? Absolutely. The Semi-10 will work just fine with the Wave Oasis. It's strong enough that you can feel it, and you can utilize it with the device. Some of the other devices are not quite as strong enough they work, and they're putting out the signal, but you don't really feel it, because that would be the Spiro or the couple of the other devices. But they do work with the Wave Oasis, and it's hooked up with the proper kind of plugs to be able to be utilized. Maureen says Elaine's business builder class is amazing, and it certainly is. Let me come back here to some questions that I've been asked. Let me have a quick look here at the phone. 502-414-3436. If you'd like to talk to me, send me a text or give me a call on send a text on that number, and I will be able to call you right back. And we'll be here as long as I have the questions that you'd like to discuss. I have a client wondering if her dog would benefit from PEM after suffering a cervical injury in 2019. She has used the Bemer before and noticed a large change. Would love to hear if anyone had any results with a similar injury. Well, most certainly, I've had situations where we treated dogs that were injured months before we were able to treat them for cervical type back injuries. And quite often we have seen wonderful results just by improving the oxygenation and the blood flow, and reducing inflammation into the spine, into the cervical area of the animal. And I would certainly think that utilizing the MagnaWave devices, because they have so much more energy that they're delivering than some of the other devices. So if they result with a lower power other manufactured device, you move into a higher powered device like we have, and you might see dramatic changes and dramatic results. Dr. Marty has talked about that. In fact, we experienced that when we first met in Boston, a week after the Boston Marathon bombing. We were in Boston for a conference with the University of Tennessee, and there was a woman there with a world championship agility dachshund that had injured its back and could not walk or run normally, just pretty much drug its rear legs around as it moved. And so she came, and again, it was a world champion just the months before it sustained its injury. And we sat down, Dr. Marty and I, in the lobby of this hotel where this event was going on in Boston. And I simply placed the dog inside the large loop for about 8 minutes. to treat his back and so forth. And then I did another small session with the loop on top of the dog, on top of his top line. And we finished that session. The dog got up and walked away. And it was amazing to see the dog get up and stroll away normally. All we had to do was reduce some inflammation, and which cleared things up and let it have some function back. Now, it didn't walk away smoothly, but the animal walked away. The next morning, the lady came back and said, my gosh, the dog used to jump up and down off the bed, but it hasn't done that for months. Jumped on the bed 3 times that night. After we treated it, she brought the dog back. We treated it again, and the dog ran off this time. Didn't have any issues. Kept feeling better, and she continued to treat the animal and with great success. So I would certainly recommend, if you have that type of situation, that you're not going to miss anything, to pursue treating an animal like that. And I would recommend that you do it. So let's see if I've had any calls over here real quick. Nope, everything's quiet on this side. Do have a question. How would you answer the question, why is PEMF not FDA approved? Well, the modality, to answer that question for you, the modality itself is, in many cases, FDA approved. Now, the FDA doesn't just say PEMF is approved, so you can go use any PEMF device on any type of indication or any type of situation. The FDA is name, design, function specific. And there are, I don't know exactly how many there are today because there have been some changes. There are 5, as I can think of them, I hope I can remember all 5 of them on my hand, devices that are FDA approved. One for autism, one for depression, one for non-union bone fractures and back fusing, one for incontinence in women, and as I said, depression and anxiety. There is one that has just recently been approved over the last few years for glioblastoma brain tumors. That is a PEMF device. It's a little net that they wear over their head. So there are specific devices. So PEMF devices are approved by the FDA. Now, again, it has to be to the specific device that's being tested. And that means they need to be safety tested. They need to be engineered in a certain fashion. They need to be manufactured in a certain fashion. And then you go to the FDA and you register your devices to show that you have devices. You have your factories that are cleared to manufacture to FDA standards. And then you go and either do brand new studies, that you have new studies done to support a particular usage of the device, or you can file and if your device is very similar to another device that is already on the market and already approved, you can substantiate that you're very similar to that device, i.e. a predicate device, then you can be approved for special uses as a predicate device. As a rule, most companies in our industry have not really pursued this. We are pursuing safety testing all of our devices. We are pursuing and almost have completed the ISO 13458, whatever it is, for manufacturing standards, and not even manufacturing, just how we handle things as we move them in and out of our inventory and warehouse from our manufacturers. You want to have these designations. So our manufacturers are all working to do that. And that's a very important part of what we're trying to do. We want our not manufacturers, we want our clients, our practitioners to know that what they're receiving is safety tested, manufactured properly, going to be serviced as well as it can be. And we've had issues like that with a couple of our manufacturers, just like everybody else has. You go through learning curves. You change a design on a device and it takes a while to get it right, and you have more incidences of issues. And we hate that, but we pride ourselves in standing right up and making sure that you have devices that you've ordered and you get devices taken care of and they're repaired if they need to be repaired, and go forward. So that's the situation as we approach that. But to answer the question, the modality is approved in certain circumstances by the FDA. So you can certainly talk with someone and talk about the efficacy of these devices, that there are companies that, that are out. Oh, there's a device for incontinence. I may have said that, but there is a device approved for the FDA for incontinence in women, and they work very well. And so you don't have to answer that question in a negative fashion. Are our devices, are all of our devices FDA approved? They are. The FDA knows that we are manufacturing our devices. The FDA knows that our various manufacturers are working to be, and in many cases are already what's called good manufacturing practices, assembling in that fashion and registering devices with FDA, and then moving into the approval area for the various devices. In the PMF world, that's not been a big deal over the years, but as we have more and more machines into the marketplace, more people utilizing, more people understanding what they can gain and achieve by using this modality, the FDA is kind of taking notice. And so we have to be very careful in what we say. The devices are considered to be class 1 off-the-shelf devices. Excuse me, a little allergies going on here. I took a walk the other day and got all the weed in the world, weed, like allergy weed, not the other kind. I'm not talking about that, please. I'm in trouble. No, so we want to make sure that that's what's taking place. But to answer your question, the modality is approved by the FDA for specific devices, and that really brings credibility to what you're talking about. When somebody, so years ago when I first started, there were maybe 1 or 2 devices approved by the FDA. And so people would say, well, how come it's not recognized? Well, it just takes time. It takes time for people to adopt it, for people to understand how they're using it, for doctors to embrace it. I mean, my gosh, in the beginning, I couldn't get a doctor to talk about it hardly, or a veterinarian to talk about it. Those days are changing, and a lot of things going on today that we'll be talking about here shortly with some studies that we're working on to better stabilize our particular brand and our devices as being safety tested in specific studies to allow us to move into those areas of endeavor. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see if there's anything else going on. Tony's here. I can't hear you.
Hopping back in. I think I found a way to play that video if you want to jump to it.
Sure, let's do it.
All right, give me just 1 second.
I explain it to everybody. This is the young lady who works for Keap, who also has horses, and found the article that they published in their magazine, and it's quite interesting. And let's see if Tony can bring that up for us.
All right, let's see here, just a second. Oh no, technical difficulties. Let's see.
Technical difficulty.
I'm working on it. Shoot, no. Well, it doesn't look like it wants to work, Pat. I thought I had it nailed. I apologize for that.
Okay, that's okay.
We'll keep working on it.
All right, buddy. Not a problem. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Hi there. I have 2 questions. First, can someone that had a concussion in March use the BrainTap? And also, can a boy 17 that is very mildly autistic that has seizures use the BrainTap? Thanks. Well, that's a question that we probably need to in 2 parts. The concussion, they most certainly, and it's been a while since they've had the concussion. I do believe that Dr. Porter has concussion protocols with the BrainTap. The seizures, the mildly autistic with the seizures, the BrainTap has blinking lights, or it has LED lights over your eyes that blink as the context is being delivered, or as the copy is being delivered. So that probably needs to be addressed, because I know at our soccer stadium we have a tremendous light system, and they had some issues with people that had seizures because the way the lights would blink and flash when we had goals. Now they remind people, if you've got these type of issues and we score a goal, look the other way. So the lights don't impact your feeling or the potentiality of seizures. But we will, Emily, if you'll make a note of that, And we'll reach out to Dr. Porter and get his input on that and bring it back to the group through the certified practitioner page or through this program next week. You could certainly look at the well-being and making them feel better. Dr. Larry Lyons was doing some work with us at the University of Colorado on concussions, and they were seeing some very favorable results. We're working now with some doctors in New York, psychiatrists, as well as a radiologist who can use visualization of what we're doing with the devices. And we're going to do some work in the area of depression and some preclinical work. So that's kind of going on there. So to certainly talk about the concussion aspect, I know that a lot of folks that suffer with seizures have not had serious issues or had any issues with the MagnaWave to aid their well-being. Okay, let's see. Let's talk. Leilani asked the question, let's discuss renting out our machine or utilizing an MW rental, pricing, etc., since we are waiting for our machines. Good point there, Leilani. Not clear about how we would approach that. We do have machines that are available for rent if you want machines. If you've ordered a machine, we are putting machines in folks' hands, a different machine until the machine they ordered is available. So we do need to approach that. Let me think about that, Leilani, how we can approach that here in a moment. Question is asked, have you seen results when a dog has arthritis on his spine? Most certainly. Arthritis is a buildup of calcium that interferes with the nerves on the spine. And what we want to do is get the inflammation out of the area. We're not going to break up the calcium buildup. So you have an issue that as you treat, it's going to want to come back. The thing about it is if you can once get most of the inflammation out of the nerve, it's very slow to return. It takes longer for a nerve, except for a catastrophic accident, a tear or something like that, to become inflamed, to become irritated enough that it becomes debilitating and a problem. So treating the spine on a dog would be very beneficial and would certainly help make it be more comfortable with the effects of the arthritis and how it might feel on the animal. So I would certainly have a look at that. Would PEMF therapy benefit severe adhesions and help release the myofascial tissues? Most certainly. Tissues become inflamed. They become taut when they become inflamed, much like dormant blood cells stack up in the body, and that causes inflammation and buildup. And so certainly to help with the adhesions and help the myofascial release would be just treat the area, treat the whole body. It's always beneficial quite often to treat the whole body of the animal and then treat the specific areas. Quite often, if you just treat the specific area and not the whole animal, you're not necessarily getting everything to the area. As I used to talk about when I would treat the full body of a horse, I didn't always treat their knees and ankles and feet if they were not a problem. If they're not having any problem in their knees, ankles, and feet, we would treat the upper body. Where's that good blood flow, that good oxygenated blood go? To the legs, to the knees, to the hocks, to the knees, feet, and so forth of the animal, and helps them. So that can help abate anything that might be coming just by treating the full animal. If you want to treat the whole horse and then run down each leg independently, that's great. And there are people that do that all the time with regularity. But when I was treating regularly, it wasn't always done that way. If they were having an issue, I would treat the full body, and then I would come treat the knee, or I would treat the ankle, or I would treat the hoof independently where they were having an issue. We'd look for heat. They'd say the left hoof is hot, the right hoof is normal. So we treat the left hoof, try to get some circulation out of there, all while knowing that the good blood circulation and good oxygenated blood from the whole body treatment is going to move to that leg and that foot. But we just wanted to support it a little bit more. Great question, though, at that point. Trinity writes from Michigan. Hello, Wendy's with us. LOL, she writes. Bemer uses this against MagnaWave aggressively, saying that the info we provide is not real because, let's see, where'd it go? real because the approval data isn't specific to our devices. Well, I think if you go and evaluate, have a look at the MagnaWave website, we have a lot of anecdotal evidence, certainly. We are working to, as I've said, to provide some studies to support, but we don't make claims on our specific MagnaWave site. We try to stay away from that. We use, we do know that what PubMed has done, what studies have been done over the years, as many people utilize this information to substantiate or to benefit the PEMF as a beneficial tool. Now, what they talk about, it's unfortunate that people have these discussions and all they can do is push dirt or whatever, or make accusations about somebody, what they're trying to say. We talk about being a wellness device and aiding the blood flow and the blood oxygenation. There are devices, and the Bemer device or other devices that are low power devices that are registered with the FDA, and they have gone down some of those roads, but they're listed as mechanical stimulators or muscle stimulation devices for them to go in at specific terms or for specific diseases. They don't have that capability either. So everybody's there. Now, the Bemer devices are registered with the FDA. They are low power devices. They do work. I would not take anything away from the Bemer family. It's just that they're slower and we want a more quicker result. And that's what we're kind of about, is to be able to supply the energy necessary to help the healing process as rapidly as possible, as complete as possible. So we that's how we approach it. The more or less powerful devices treat longer periods of time, treat more often. Doesn't say it doesn't work. It just takes sometimes longer. And so, and we're working very hard to have data available. And we'll look and see they do have doctors that are talking with us that are discussed on the MagnaWave website as we move on as well. Okay. Let's see. Lisa Marie talks. I got to check out Vivify yesterday. It's beautiful. I also stopped by the office and everyone was so wonderful. I love this company. Thank you all so much. Well, that's very nice, Lisa. Thank you. Glad you got to go to Vivify. It's fun. The Vivify project is turned into a lot of fun and a lot of services being offered there. And it's interesting how things will go. Let's see. Use of PEMF for MS, multiple sclerosis. Husband has lesions. Doctor said to avoid the head, but would like to help with this inflammation there is as he gets great relief using it on the rest of the body. Also, I'm working with a client who has been waiting for her Soul Pro for MS and would like to have more info for her, as I'm working with MS clients of various degrees. If your doctor's working with you and he's directing you in what to do and telling you where to do it and where not to do it, and you want to provide some comfort for your husband and your other clients, that it's certainly shown to be able to do that, to provide some comfort, to provide help arrest the inflammation that's there. So always go at the direction of your doctor, no matter what you're doing. If you have a machine that you're using on your animals and you want to experiment with your loved ones or your family, you're free to do that, but you just need to, as I always recommend, is make sure you clear things with your doc. There is inflammation, and the device can help relieve the inflammation, and that can make the person more comfortable, and that's what it's all about. If you're more comfortable, you feel better, you're not depressed, That's a good way of approaching that. All right, I have a couple of men requesting sessions for ED. What is the recommended placement for the loop? Also, someone asked me about treating lymphedema. Would it be helpful? Well, again, you need to discuss any of those types of situations with the client's doctor. If the doctor wants to say, hey, let's use this, or you can do that, and as long as they understand what is going on, then you can kind of walk down that street. With regard to the ED, there are some devices on the market that the urologists are using, and basically they are pulsing type of devices. Some of them are more electrical than others, but to simply place the butterfly coil on the groin area of the body, or sit on it, if you will, or the paddle. You could use the large loop. You're stimulating a much larger area of the buttocks and so forth, but so you want to be as concentrated. I would make it as comfortable as possible, but I would also have it pulsing as high as possible that the client can still be comfortable. And then again, it will help with the blood circulation and the blood movement in the area. And that's always important for the ED situation, and there are devices, and that's an area that some doctors have spoken with us about to potentially explore. But that would be the situation there. Are the Pulse Pro and the Julian basically the same machine? Yes, they are. They're very similar in what they're doing, just different case. At the beginning, all the manufacturer had was the Pulse Pro in the black case with the 2 lids, and that's what was there. They eventually moved to put the Pulse Pro into a case that the Julian is in. Along the way, they changed controls to a pressure sensitive switch and controlling, so you can be more specific in your settings and so forth. But all said and done, the Julian and the Pulse Pro are very similar, just different casing, different certainly capabilities. The Julian is totally portable and can be moved around. But if budget is an issue and you don't mind that you're going to carry it, the Pulse Pro is fine and will do a fine job for you. Hey, Lisa, how are you? Suggestions for treating an elderly person whose back was fractured several years ago and wasn't discovered by multiple doctors. She is in physical therapy but has constant back pain and is very frail. The biggest question when you're dealing with elderly folks is the sensation that they feel when first being treated. My recommendation would be, if they finally discovered where the pain is in the back, and if there's pain, there's inflammation. I'd use the mat or the large loop, or even if they can specifically know where the area is, and I'd start on a very low setting. Again, you want to talk to the doctor in this case and explain to them what's going on and to make sure that they're up with what you want to do. But want to treat very low so they are comfortable and the result can be there, because even at our lowest setting, we're 10 to 15 times stronger than any of the low power, low voltage devices that are on the market that would take hours of treatment to get some results. So very low, 10 minutes. And then as you do this daily, if you can, for a while, I always say 7 to 10 days, and then maybe every other day, and then get down to once a week or whatever the situation be, until you're happy with the situation, and maybe you do or don't have to continue. But low, slow, comfortable. Low and slow, comfortable application, repeated application, rinse and repeat. And then as they become more comfortable, you can begin to turn it up a little bit so they understand what's going on. That's been a big challenge with new people when they get on it and they feel the gut feeling in their guts or their organs, and then they also feel it on their back or their shoulder or something like that. And it can be a bit, what is that? It can be a bit unsettling. But once you become used to it, then you can produce more energy for the area, again, with doctors' influence and thoughts. So that's my suggestion there. Alicia has an idea of a remote to be able to adjust the setting. Ever been pondered? It would be nice to be able to make adjustments without leaving the horse's body to do so. Alicia, that is something that has been discussed a lot. We have done some research in the area. We have developed some prototypes, particularly now since we have the new switching system, the push button controls on the device, which are all electronic and digital. That kind of opens the door to be able to do some of that stuff. And so certainly we are researching that and trying to build some demo type of situations so we know what can work. But it's there's a lot of regulatory issues around mobile control of devices. You have to have FCC approvals. You have to have just all kinds of things, hoops that you need to go through. Now, a lot of folks don't go through those hoops and they just do something, they put it on the market, but that's not how we're choosing to operate. We want to make sure, because someone's going to put this in a veterinarian's office, or someone's going to go use this on some horses, and somebody's going to ask those questions. Not that it's dangerous, but you just should go through and make notifications to the FCC and the FDA and the different folks involved, so you know that you're doing the right thing. So, Alicia, great question. Stay tuned to that to see what can happen there. And we're working closely with our manufacturing engineers to handle that. Let's see. I have had the Soul 6 months and love it, but now at times the light flickers weakly when the machine is turned on, and may shine brightly and work fine, or does not come on at all. Okay, you want to make sure, and we've talked about this in the past, you want to take your machines and use a pressure, air pressure blower. I would recommend real air, not not canned or frozen air. Excuse me. But I would use, like they use at a tire shop or a mechanic shop. You could even use a vacuum cleaner if you want to reverse the airflow. But make sure to blow around all of your switches, your on and off control. Now, if you have a Soul, so it's got dials, you want to make sure that you, around the control dial, the on and off dial, where the machine plugs in, the male and female aspects of the plug can become dirty and will not make good connection. You want to blow in and around your fan, so there's any dust that's accumulating on any part on the inside of that device that could hinder motion would be the first thing to do. I've had people call me. They've had their machines for years and years, and they call and say, all of a sudden it's not working right. First thing we check is the power cord. You might check that to make sure there's not a short in your power cord. Second thing is to blow the machines out. Oh yeah, I clean the machine regularly. And then all of a sudden I say, go blow it out. Take it to the tire store, get their airbrush, their air blower, to the somebody that's got one, and blow it out very well, and do all the crannies, all the nicks and crannies around the on and off switch, around every other switch, around the edge of the machine, in through the fan, and blow it out. You might dislodge a piece of dust that's sitting there making a connection be bad. If that doesn't solve it, call Lee, customer service, Lee or Briley. We certainly want to make sure that everything works for you and you get what you want in that type of situation. Check that out. And let's see, all areas blown out, checked fuses, sound familiar, just give it a shot. If it doesn't work, we'll certainly work with you to make sure that it is taken care of. I do blow it out with air compressor, but it's kept pristine. I understand, and you just never know. You can turn it on today and suck a piece of dust in there that gets over on that switch and can slow things down. But we certainly want to work with you on that. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions out there. Let me check my phone line. Quiet today on the phone line. So that's the way it goes. Text your name to 502-414-3436. I'll call you back. We can have a conversation about whatever it is that you would like to talk about. Let's see if I had any other questions on my sheet here. I have someone that broke their foot and had to get pins in it. They're still in a hard cast, but wondering if it's okay to MagnaWave. MagnaWave will pass straight through a cast. It's going to be a little resistance to it, but you could sort of put it on a hard cast to help the inflammation at the site where they put the pins. As we've discussed many, many times, if you've got an animal that has pins in its knee or ankles or whatever, and the same would hold true for most other clients, they typically do not cause an issue. The machines are not going to cause things to come loose. There is inflammation. There is new material that needs to grow around pins in order to be strong and so forth. So certainly if they're in the cast and the bleeding is controlled, you can, I would recommend that you begin treating. Okay. My personal heart, this is from Marlo, was just diagnosed with a tear in the meniscus and collateral ligament in the stifle, along with other soft tissue damage. They were saying surgery is not an option and to euthanize. I would love him to give them an attempt to heal and see what happens. He's a big part of our family, rideable or not. Thanks, thoughts, input. Do you have the LZR yet? But I don't have the LZR yet, but I wish I did. Certainly, your pain management is going to be important. Don't know how bad the tissue damage is. I mean, just from your description, if it's a complete tear and the doctor doesn't feel it could be healed, then you're talking about comfort. Now, I did that to my left knee almost 4.5 weeks ago now, and it's in the healing time when I've done it before has been as long as 3 to 6 months. I would say that 4.5 weeks after my injury, and I had it ultrasounded by Dr. Bard in New York, no tears, but pretty good stress and inflammation on the interior part of my knee. My biggest problem now is sleeping, because you sleep and you put you'll roll over on your side, and so your leg kind of gets a little bent as it lays in the bed, or you roll over the other way. I'm totally comfortable, no pain when I lay on my back and lay flat. When I go to my side, there is some pressure and angle that's on it. I'll use a pillow to try to make that better, but the best thing I can do is to sleep on my back, but I don't. I'll move around, and so what I make sure that I do, because it'll bother me through the night, and I'll have to lay on my back. I always make sure that I'll take the last hour if I'm awakened, and the last hour or so of my sleep, and make sure that I'm flat on my back, because then I get up and there's no problem. Once it gets to bothering me through the day, maybe when I'm sitting at my desk, when I'm sitting just as we are right now, and my leg is bent, if I can keep it stretched, then I have no issue. But it's when it tries to come back that I get some pain. And again, I'm on an 8 out of 10 as far as comfort at this point. And it's improving really every day. And I'm about 4.5 weeks in, not 3 months. And so with your horse here, if the horse is able to manipulate and move at all, to try it for a week or two, as long as the animal is comfortable and your doctor's working with you in that regard, you all may be pleasantly surprised what could happen with the pain relief, the inflammation reduction, and the potentiality for healing. And as you've said, if you could get it to where the animal can be a companion for you and maybe not even do what it used to do, you be the winner in that case, if that's okay and it's not causing the animal problems. You don't want to have the animal in pain. We all understand that, but a lot of times it's very easy to say, oh no, let's not do that. That tumor on that dog's neck's too big. We're gonna have to take half the neck off, and you treat it, and all of a sudden the tumor's the size of a quarter, and the doctor can get after it. So that's the thought, to give it a shot. You could certainly treat it with the LZR in addition to the PEMF MagnaWave as you have it, but I would certainly go on. I would treat very mildly initially, because you don't want to move that tissue too much, but to treat it mildly would be good. The other thing that you do, let me see where in the Stifle. The other thing that I would recommend that you do in that type of situation, if you use the large loop or even the wings, if you use the wings and you go over that area, you'll be able to, in some cases, turn them a little higher to put more energy into the area more comfortably. And that would be a key. When I did my knee, I treated for a few weeks, and I was 1 or 2. I have a Soul Pro here at the house, and I would treat it on 1 or 2 or 3, very low. But I'd feel it, certainly, because of the inflammation and the pain that was there, and it worked. And then I would begin to turn it up. A few times I would go over a 10-minute cycle. I'd do 5 minutes at 3 or 4. I'd do 2 minutes at 6 or 8. I'd do 1 minute at 10. Never got to where I was at 20. Now, when I take the large loop and place it over my knee, I can turn it all the way up to 20, and I feel it in the area, but I'm not popping the area itself hard, but I'm putting a lot of energy into my whole knee, and I've seen a good result from that as well. Again, I'm 4.5 weeks into what could very easily be a 3 to 4 month or longer recovery, and I'm an 8 out of 10. So I'm aggressive with it. I do it every morning, sometimes twice a day. If I get to doing things through the day and it starts to bother me a little bit because I'm flexing it the wrong way, I'll treat it again. Same thing with this animal. Start low, do it twice a day, and then or use a larger loop and go a little higher. So you can even take those wings and you can double it down to where it's a good size wing, but yet put it right over the stifle area, and you're not going to pound it real hard as you turn it up a little bit. The other thing you can do is you could take the large loop, turn the machine up to, depending on which machine you have, to put it up to 8 or 10, if it's a 10 setting device, put it up there and hold it an inch or two off of the stifle. So you're not putting direct pushing into the stifle itself, and being that way, that off of it by an inch or two, you're cutting your delivery by easily 50%. So you're able to put a lot of energy in there very comfortably. And that's the key. So there's some option. No matter what you do, I'd go low and slow at the beginning, 6 to 8 minutes, twice a day, and just stay on it and go for it for a couple of weeks and let us know how things are going. Hopefully we'll all be pleasantly surprised at how things can work out. You might be able to keep your animal going the way you want it to. So that's always a thought. So let me check my phones again. Nope, nothing on. Oh, hey, here we go. Oh boy. Young horse, coming 5. Thoughts on? Let's give Tanya a call here.
Hi.
Hey, Tanya.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Pat Ziemer here.
Yes, I'm watching you.
Uh-oh. So tell me what's going on.
I have a client who I've been treating her other horses, but she has a younger horse that she acquired about 1.5 years ago, coming 3, very green. So he has not been, ridden hard. And just this past year, they can't quite put a finger on what's going on. I saw him on Sunday as I was doing a couple of her other horses, and you can definitely tell there's something going on. My assessment, not a vet tech, just a lot of equine knowledge. He's really stiff in his neck, shoulders, wants to carry his head to the left when he trots to the right. Vets can't seem to put a finger on what's going on. They did throw wobblers out there. She's had a chiropractor. She's had a body work done on him, and nobody can come up with anything. He's not dead lame. He just carries a little funny.
Certainly the wobbler, it's a spinal problem. Typically, and where it's coming from is where it's being referred from is sometimes the issue. Now, again, I'm not a veterinarian. I just know that it's an issue with the spine that causes the issue. You're telling me it's more in the neck and the shoulder area as it's transferred through the withers, perhaps. I would treat the entire top line. And sometimes if it's there, 1 or 2 treatments may not do it. I mean, if it's a serious situation, whether it's an injury that caused it or a defect that caused it, or, just all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you do chiropractic and you're doing it, but are you doing it, finding it in the right space, what's influencing what's going on. And so to treat the entire neck from the crown or the pole down to the withers along the top line consistently may provide. Quite often, you not know how long it's been there. So again, a couple of treatments may not do it at all. It may not make any difference. Kind of like we experienced with horses with EPM. We'd come back and we'd treat them once and the horse would be worse the next day. And we learned that we needed to treat those horses continually for a number of days and sometimes weeks to get them to where they are responding the way you want them to. Certainly not the situation that we wanted to be doing. We wanted to have them get well quickly, but that's not always the case. So the situation to treat the spine, again, I'd go moderate. And if you have specific areas, it sounds like if it's kind of carrying itself in one fashion, but you don't know that that's not being referred to another area that's causing the gait to change. You know what I mean? I mean, it may be all up in the neck, and that may be where it is, but it could be in the sacral area that you got spinal issues, and you want to be able to deal with that. And then that just refers, they'll refer diagonally quite often, left, from the shoulder to the hip, and go in that situation. So you need to do everything. I've told the story a number of times of this racehorse that couldn't do anything, and we found it way down its glutes, and a Charlie horse that it was happening, and nobody could find it. And all of a sudden we found it, started treating that, and that made a difference. Now, wobbler is not that, but to find some referral areas, because they can, they don't know. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've treated a horse and it goes down the shed row looking just like it did at the beginning, gets down to the shed row, turns around and comes back and realizes, I feel pretty good. And they come back very smoothly. They come back very comfortably. So that's got to happen from the comfort standpoint as you go forward with those situations. I would hope that helps, but that'd be my recommendation.
Okay, that's great. That's kind of the role I was going. I'm a true believer in treating the top line, and everybody thinks that, it's right here and, it's my hock. And I'm always like, yes, but the hocks have domino effects to other things. So let's treat more than just the hock.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you have to get a believer, and I love my PMF. Actually, I ended up purchasing it because we had a horse that had a minor issue and found a local girl who was wonderful with her machine. And then we acquired another horse that really didn't have issues, but I'm like, now it's worth investing in. I'm lucky enough, I'm in the state of New Jersey, close to a nice show facility. So I just pop up there and be able to treat in the barn. You have believers, you have, questioner, people who doubt you, but I'm like, talk to me.
That's right. That's right. Well, I hope that helps. And thanks for reaching out.
Okay. Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Tana. Great question. And we appreciate that. We appreciate that very much. Let me make sure here and see if there's anything at the bottom of the list. Let's see. Thanks for the tip on this. Stifles. My trainer's horse gets very sore and kicks out when his stifles are touched. Yep, just treat him. Make it feel better. One sits there loosely. I asked Lee if I could buy a new fuse holder tray. We'll take care of you, Haley. Talk with Lee, and we'll get that worked out. Not a problem. There we go. We're about out of time. Had some great questions today. I certainly appreciate that. It's always fun being with you and learning with you as we move forward to try to continue to provide the best products and services that we can. And you'll know that is our number one goal, and we will most certainly do that. So thank you for joining me today. Go all the way with MagnaWave. Wave on to better health. Have a great day. We love you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.